Okay, I think we're live. Welcome back, everybody. I'm going to do another round of live development. And I think I'm going to start off today with just showing off some stuff I've been working on over the week, and then we'll get into building some features based off some feedback I got from the build. So to start off, I should just let you guys know that I have a build up. You'll get the link in the comment or the description of the video. Anybody who wants to take a look, play it, and put feedback in the comment section, I can get around to it. I've already got some good feedback based on some people who've played, and went through and built a couple of fixes for various things. We'll be building something else like that, some stuff based on the feedback tonight. But I'm just going to go over real quickly the new stuff. Let you see what I've got to go over here. Okay, so first thing, we're going to go off and show some of the new weapons and abilities we give to the enemies. I'll open up the sandbox here, give you an idea of what we're looking at. So one of the things that I wanted to do with the necromancer was actually give him an ability to be slightly more annoying to enemy or to players by letting him resurrect people in the match. And so now he has this ability. If he uses it for long enough, the character will pop right back up and be alive again. That did require me to do a couple of rewrites of how the AI logic for necromancers work. But it worked out pretty well. Now the necromancers have a specifically, like a different version of how their AI sensor works to track for dead enemies, and then pick them out of a list and start running this strike event, which is slightly different than how other strikes work. I should go ahead and knock one of these guys down here. So now, instead of just picking the player target as his only enemy when he does his AI tick, he now has an ally target as well. And the ally target has to be in a certain state. That state is just creature dead. And then he can select from him in his behavior tree as a valid, making the skill potentially valid. So they can get interrupted with each of these. Oh my god. You can interrupt them. They're making the casting a spell. It takes like 3 or 4 seconds, I think. So it makes them incredibly difficult to deal with because you can't just let them sit in the back line anymore and just fire at you and keep resurrecting the people you've killed. So I'll go ahead and show you real quickly how the new behaviors are set up. And I've shown off some of how the monster behaviors work. Whenever a monster is spawned, all the monsters are kind of spawned with a blank, and it's like a blank monster scene, and then they get all their data loaded. So I'm going to go to monster. And then when the monster is like assigned an actual, obviously all the stuff gets changed and reloaded, and based on what kind of data gets fed into the monster, changes the sprites, changes the weapons, changes all that based off of the monster's name and their stats, and kind of moves them around. And the reason we do that is because all of the actor classes that are networked across are all from a big pool. And so when a monster dies, he will despawn and then go back into the pool as this kind of blank. And a new monster, when it's called from that pool, will find like the lowest indexed one that is not currently active, and activate that one. But anyway, once they're activated, they get given this thing called the monster. It's basically a monster controller, and what it does, it's essentially the brain of the monster that comes out. It has information for the monster's movement inputs, because all of my AI uses a simulated input system that basically maps across to the player input system. So when the monster thinks about his actions, he's actually running through the same skill component that my heroes run through. So in this controller, it's got, let me open up this class here. Let's grab this guy. So in the controller, he has references to the damageable component, reference to the monster. He's got this AI sensor here, which is the class that I had to extend. I'll show you what an AI sensor looks like. So this is the standard AI sensor. And there's a function in here that just ticks the senses for the monster and finds basically every time the game decides that the monster should tick, it runs this function. And the way that I have it is, since we've got a lot of monsters in the match, the ticks are staggered or spread out with the number of monsters that are active. So basically, if you get like 100 monsters in the map, the tick will be slower and kind of spread out over a longer period of time. So they get kind of dumber as more monsters get added to the arena. But this tick senses, and in fact, this whole class was extended for the necromancer. Let me go to necromancer AI sensor right here. So instead of just tracking enemies, it still does track enemies, but it also tracks a new kind of target, which is the what is it called? It's called nearest enemy. Where's I should put the character in there? Somewhere in here. So when the team attitude is towards a friendly, I do another check as well. This is why I actually had to move this senses tick into a deferred physics tick, is because it needs to fire a raycast to know if its ally that's dead is behind a wall or not. And if it's not behind a wall and it is the closest ally, it will pick that as the target. And then down here, it actually takes the blackboard, which, if you're familiar with Unreal, I just made up a new class called the blackboard. All it does is hold information about what the AI sensor, what the AI behavior tree, what all of his skills kind of will look at for what is kind of easily referenceable across all of the different classes. And then I've got a bunch of helper functions in here. So getting angles to things, getting directions to things. And so I've added this new thing called an ally target in addition to the target creature, which is the enemy target. And yeah, so he goes through the same kind of tick, but adds an extra step to find an ally who's down. And that is read by these new skills that I built. It's called a necromancer. It's called necro revive strike. Yeah, so here's the new strike. I mentioned before that strike is the most basic element of the networked events that gets sent across when a character uses a skill or an attack. And so I've extended the standard one, and that's for a couple reasons, actually. These things actually can get deleted, but I'll go over that when I go to the bandage stuff, because this is actually fairly similar to how the bandage system works now. Basically, when the strike gets activated, it now runs this function, which starts the timer. And as long as this timer isn't elapsed, it will just sit there like you see that stencil that draws out and shows that he's casting the ability. It will just run the strike as normal. Once this thing is finally elapsed, it will, right here, add the set the creature state to alive, and then send him some healing. But if he gets interrupted, and that's basically, interrupted is called from this event. If a strike was destroyed, which means this is the function that gets called from any strike that gets prematurely ended, or even not prematurely ended. It's called when the strike completes on its own as well. But this is an easy one to hook into. Then it just kind of stops the visual effects, clears the timer, deletes the timer, and he has to start over again. And the other thing I've got on here is how he evaluates it, to figure out, he's got the guy in the blackboard, but the last step he actually needs is each one of these behaviors that are in his controller. He's got his controller, he's got his behavior manager, and then each one of these nodes is a behavior that he will run through his behavior manager and evaluate it. And it looks like he evaluates these things every 1.5 seconds. He'll go through each one of these actions, finds out if the based on a bunch of variables in here. So like he's got a cost, which is kind of a random number. He's got increases of cost, evaluation ranges, maximum use ranges, and then when he's in each one of these states, if the evaluation is true, he starts using the abilities. Well, sort of. He actually uses the inputs for the abilities. So when you look at Screaming Skull, he's got this press and hold input because that Screaming Skull skill is a press and hold skill, and he has to hold it down for a period of time. And if he completes it, and here we go, this is the strike size. Well, if he completes it, he uses the release, which is the second strike in the list. If he fails, he uses the third one, which is the fail strike, which is essentially just canceling the ability. And that way I can do canceled abilities that have some special animation or some special effect on the character if he gets canceled. So in here, Necro Revive, you'll notice that all of these are a base use skill action class. But Necro Revive isn't. Necro Revive has an extra step, and I added a new class for this guy. Let's find it. Right here. So it inherits from use skill, but it just has a couple extra checks. This is the biggest one. It makes sure that the target, here we go. The target ally blackboard is full. It has an actual target. If it doesn't, then the evaluation fails. It goes to the max value of the int, which means the cost is too high and it usually just skips it. And then he's got this. This is all pretty much the same. In fact, this thing will go away because this is used from the parent. Yeah, all this stuff is basically the same. I think I could probably condense it even further than I was just looking at it. Yeah, maybe I'll go back and put that on my list. Anyway, so he can resurrect that guy, which is sweet. And so I want to go show another piece that I forgot to mention earlier, which is last time we... Oh, there we go. Already promised. No, it's because I'm working on something. Yeah, last time we went through, we were working on making bandages work, and I had to set up all of the input system to make the bandages work in the same way that weapons work, where they have got 2 buttons associated with it, but 2 different buttons. So what I ended up having to do there was add these buttons, and now so I have specials. We've got Healing 1 and Healing 2. I think I managed to add them last time we checked, but I can show you what those do now that things are working. I'll set up a second client. Oh, hold on, gotta change one thing. Because I put a build out, I forgot to change the comment out for my IP. Yeah, so now it's gonna be looking for my local IP. Let's close this out again. Did that not save? Hold on. Let's see. No, that should be the correct IP address. Let's take a look. The container's running. Create online match. Oh, there it is. Okay, let's just not wait long enough. Oh man, that's what I get for changing some stuff around too early. Okay, I gotta turn that menu off. Fortunately, I made some adjustments to the menu earlier today based on some feedback, and now I'm paying for it. Okay. So we were in lobby. Leave the lobby. He was in mission. Nope, in match select. And if this guy doesn't close, I'll have to figure out why it was this one lobby isn't closing when it should. But this should close it. Didn't close that guy down either. Okay. I mean, I'm in the level. Let's turn both of these off. Oh, because I bet I'm not loading when I go to scene. No, I am. Huh. What's going on there? Let's see. So I'm not leaving the lobby scene, or am I? No, because lobby is closing. That is clearly. Let's take a look at what I've got here. Menu manager. Match select menu still exists. Yeah, that shouldn't be necessary though. Let me try with this thing up. Volume menu, match select. Maybe I changed how the menu manager works. Okay, it's opening. Interesting, it didn't move me to the lobby. I wonder where it moved me. Am I still in match select? Okay, so... No, I didn't. I was in there, so... It's toggling this thing closed. And it's now exiting match select. Interesting. Lobby match select. What it says, let's see what it says in that log. Animator trying to close match select when it's already closed. It's doing that twice. Should be the only place it opens. Right there. Why does it enter back? That's what the call stack is. Unloading. Oh, if it's unloading, it's automatically going back to the wrong scene. Yeah, that we don't want to do that. Every time the lobby unloads, it's trying to push it forward or back. Ooh, okay. Well, won't worry about that. We'll just do it the old way. Yeah, I have, it's because the lobby needs to unload fully before it moves you to the last scene. Maybe I will fix that, because we can do... Where's leave lobby? There's votes. Gotta be a leave lobby rather than just unload. Because I've got load and unload here. I don't know where I actually say leave versus go into the mission. Yeah, I'm gonna have to write that one. I'll deal with that one later for sure. I'm definitely the way to move you in versus out. I think I've done something similar to that in a different menu. I think the new game menu does that. Alright, got one guy up here. Alright, so, getting back to bandages, so I ended up building a new item type called bandage. You see that guy is right in the lower right. Oh, you can't see my face there, can you? Lower right there, left trigger will have you bandage yourself. It activates a skill. You get some particles there. Once you've completed the bandage on yourself, you get the heal up. And then you lose the item. So now I have no item in that slot. That's actually the first time I've had to build a slot that could be empty, which is had to be handled in all sorts of weird ways. And then you can pick up new bandages you find, and now the slot's full again, you can rebandage. So that was kind of how I wanted to handle healing items. I don't really necessarily want like potions and all sorts of non... Oh man, I changed the stencil system. Unfortunate. Yeah, I don't want a bunch of healing potions that you can just run over and pick up. I also want players' healing to be a little more deliberate. And where did they do this wrong too? I just had this stencil system open. Oh, because I did change this aim position stencil. Can I delete the script off of it? Yep. It's called aim. position stencil. I'm sure this has a particular name that I already changed to, unfortunately, so we've got to go figure out what it's called. Yeah, it's just called Sprite. That's what I get for changing stuff before this. Working all day and causes you to make a worse stream. But that's what live development's all about, I guess. Alright, so create the online match. Start it. Let's bring in the buddy. Okay. So here's my this is the strike where you will be able to target your ally. Begins healing him. I made a real quick effect that allows you to see it on both clients that you're being healed. There's actually this slowdown effect on the other client. If I click over here, if he gets close, he'll start to slow down, so we can keep players near each other while this effect is going on. I don't want them moving around too much, but I also want to make it kind of nice for them to not have to be right on each other the whole time in order to heal. You also don't want to lock players in place. But I've also built this thing where if you get close to like 120, maybe even wider than that, degrees of arc from him, it actually auto targets for you, so it's got a little bit of help on the aim assist. It's more of a targeting assist system than it is an aim assist, but I'm gonna have to make some changes to that eventually too. So if you wait here long enough, he will heal you up, and then he'll lose his bandage. Cool. Let's see. And so I've got a bandage. I can bandage him back. Yeah, that's bandage system. And it uses a lot of the same kind of tech that I built for the necromancer revive strike. You can see there's even like vestigial effects of the old bandage strike. Let me see if I even need these. I don't think I need these anymore. Let's see. Yeah. And because of how the networking works, both the Necro's heal effect and the heal effect from the bandage spawn these stencils based off of data on the strike itself, or based off data on the gameplay effects that were passed. What else can we show off here? Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the new. What else have we got on the list? We've got the abilities, we've got the new weapon type. So, take a look. I actually built another weapon set to round out the list. So that leaves all I need to do now to round out at least the basic weapons are one frost weapon and one holy weapon. And those are the other two damage types. So we've got bows, daggers, swords, hammers, and axes. So those are the 5 physicals, and then we're going to have 3 magic types. It's going to be the fire staff we've got. We're going to do some sort of frost staff, and then we're going to do some sort of holy staff that will do holy damage. So the 5 weapons that do physical, and then we'll have 3 that do some sort of magic or energy type damage and apply status effects. And so this rounds out the... Make one of these cool little assassin dudes. This will round out the last physical weapon. Eventually, I plan on doing pretty quickly. Actually, is getting at least 3 types of these weapon sets. Like I've got plans for a great sword. I've got plans for a hammer and shield. I've got a place for a double axes and stuff. So I'm gonna go run down here and show you what these things look like here. So this is my new dagger weapon set. He's got a standard combo that attacks. Let me actually change the spawn right here so I can mess around. And if you guys get access to the build, you can mess with the spawn rate by opening up the console command with tilde and slow things down, because I think the rate right now was pretty high, at least based on some of the feedback. Eventually, when I get the AI built for managing the core game, I'll probably do a pass at the survival AI and spawn only a certain amount of monsters. But so it's got this combination pack, which is a 4-hit combo. It's actually 5 because the last thing in the combo makes 2 attacks at once. And those both are independent attacks. You'll actually see both of them hit targets independently as he swings in. And then his other ability here is he's got a dash attack, which he can dash, and then he'll do just a double slash at the end of the dash. So I know it looks like it's only doing 20 damage, but that's because the damage numbers aren't offset at all, and they're basically being hit at the same time. Let me see if I can't get one to spread out. That was a little different. That was 2 on this and 1 on this guy. So he's got that as his dash attack, and his standard 4-hit combo, a stab, and then double slash. And then his special ability is actually lets him use it as a ranged weapon, so he throws these little daggers. So it's going to be a versatile set. He'll be able to have different ways to handle different ranges. I was working on one ability where if he does a dash special, he'll just do like a starburst of daggers that come out. But I don't know. There's something bad there's something that feels pretty bad when you're finishing a dash and you go into a ranged shot like that. That's a held attack. It doesn't quite feel good if you have a dash special that interrupts that and prevents you from aiming early. But yeah, the speed of this weapon, as long as you can keep them, as long as you can hit guys that are not shielded like these skeletons, you can keep them pretty well staggered. They do have a short range, which is kind of intended. So yeah. And the real question is, I've got these throwing daggers, and I wanted to make this feel as probably more different from the daggers than they do. And eventually I'll probably do some updates to it. So right now his dagger throw is very similar to the arrow on the longbow's attack, which is an instant ray cast shot that just looks like it's taking time to get to its location, although it's really fast. And then another one I want to show off here is this guy. This is our first new tech for projectiles in a while, actually. It's boomerang tech. It fires projectiles that don't just move in a straight arc, or don't just use that kind of sine wave stuff the necromancer stuff uses, but it actually has a boomerang effect on it, which means it will go out to a fixed range, and then it also bounce off their guys' shields. It acts a little funny when it bounces off their shield. I'll probably end up making some change to that. But it lets you go through somebody, and then you can hit him on the way back. So it actually checks for damage both times. But if I hit that guy with his shield up, they'll actually bounce it right back into me, as if he was using it himself, which is, it's all right for now, but it does feel kind of weird when it happens. And then you guys have probably seen this, but even all these projectiles are networked in a way where they spawn, and then they kind of use the timestamp of their spawn position, and it basically calculates their current position based off of all the projectile parameters, like how fast they are, their max range, So really only sends down the projectile fire event once. It's not updating these projectiles every frame. It actually is updating the game clock, that's constantly updated between the client and the server. So if you see two clients, as long as you're not really out of sync with the game clock, even if there's high latency, you will see these things appear smoothly on your screen, and they'll be roughly in the area that they are on the other players. Let's see. We showed off this Ray of Frost last time. I did find a bug in this system. Let's see. Let's go. Oh, I did make some changes to the sword as well. I got some feedback that the sword's attacks just felt too samey and didn't have enough variation in their attack rate. So now that each of the attacks is slightly longer than the one before it. So he starts with a fast swing, and then it goes into the second swing, and then there's a longer delay before the final one, which is, I think, almost a second long. And I did update the art for the shield too, so new shield art looks better. Let's see. I think that's basically everything new. And I'm going to go over one of the things I'm working on for feedback was someone had mentioned that it's kind of difficult to tell your player's current facing direction for using attacks. And this hammer is basically a good indicator of what that problem is. It makes it kind of difficult to know where he's going to strike based on his facing direction. If you look at that, you're not quite sure if he's facing forward with that hammer or if he's facing down. He really is facing down there. And that's just a limitation of, one of the million limitations for this kind of perspective where it's sort of top-down, but also sort of a side-scrolly art style. So I'm going to be working on something that I want to test out really quickly this evening. And so, this is another problem, is you've got this charge attack, but you don't know where it's going to land. You've got that stencil that I put in a million years ago that tells you how long it takes before the charge. But it doesn't really give you much information about where he's going to attack or the size of the attack. And I thought I could just replace it with the leap stencil that I had and just use that, which is this guy. This is this leap stencil, which allows you to tells you where you're going. And if you think this ability has it as well, where he's got to throw the pots, and it will tell you where the target is for when he throws it, where it's going to land. But it actually was a little more complicated because the strike itself, in the data table, you can take a look. I've got the maul here, and so the maul has, for its special strike, is the hold and release. And I was thinking maybe I can just go in here and on the hold, I've got the charge stencil. I was just going to replace it with the aim position. Okay, that'll give him the aim position, and it's sort of worked. Take a look. So now you get that really cool, here's where I'm going to hit, but I've lost the charge now. I don't know where the charge is gonna be, or if I can actually use the ability because the charge doesn't exist. So if you fail to hold it down long enough, it fails the charge. So I really need both. And so I was thinking maybe I could just do something like that and make it close enough, because this basically gives you all the information you need. It's a directional indicator, basically, of where you're currently aiming. But I decided that's probably not actually how I want to do this. I probably want to at least try some indicator that's always on screen unless you're currently using a stencil like this. And that would kind of override it. So I went ahead and built a little arrow. And I was messing with it, which is what caused things to break. I got this thing called a cursor stencil. And I'm going to go ahead and add that to my character, rotate around based off of the aim position, or the aim direction at least, and kind of loop it around the character. See if that will alleviate some of the confusion. So I'll go into, I think it's going to be on the skill component where I had it started. Alright, so I made a real quick aim cursor. I've got the, let me just grab the resource path. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time thinking about making this work in a really efficient way. I'm just going to get it working and then mess with it later. I'm not even going to use the same stencil stuff at the moment. Just gonna load it as a node 2D. I don't really need anything besides its position data. And attachment node, we'll just do this. This will actually, I'm gonna put it on the creature owner of this thing, and that way it'll stick to him. Okay. And so if it is valid, we'll just set it to a position around the character. So it's already attached to him, so I just need to offset its local position. I guess I want the local position of this thing to always be away from the aim position. So I got this raw aim location, which is the location, but I need the aim direction. That guy. So we've got this normalized value, and then we'll multiply it by like 16 for now. I really just want... If I'm aim locked, oh, I can just get the aim that's the aim rotation rotated, so I can grab this guy. I don't know why it requires an input vector. Maybe I should probably just make it not require an input vector for that. Get aim rotation. I really just need that. Okay, so it's already snapped to it. It's gonna spawn it. Let's see where I called this. So I was gonna call it on physics process, but I think I'm just gonna call it on process. I was thinking about putting on physics process because I use we update the active strike location, which is the stencils that you see. That has to be on the physics layer because those stencils, if you saw, like, you drag them wide walls or you drag them across obstructions or stuff, it'll actually does raycast to make sure you can land at that location and checks for it. It needed to sit on the physics process. Let's see. Basically it. I need to set the rotation though. Oh. Okay, there we go. We got a little piece of this thing. Yeah, so it is obviously overlapping with my character when it goes straight up. And I can just go ahead and adjust its layer, drop it down one, and now we have it on the ground. Now the weird thing is, there's always the question if it gets too gamey if you leave something like this on the ground, and there's also the problem of, you notice how the height of my character is. He should be. It feels like this is the perfect circle, and it really should be more of a diagonal or a oval. So we can go ahead and do a quick pinch on the ends so that it actually ovals out. But the more I do that, the more you're going to lose it when it goes behind the character, which is kind of strange. So now I at least have an idea of where the ability is going to go when I'm just using a basic attack. You know, I don't know if I will. It is weird. It's just not quite looking right. Also, it seems to float under these things. Although I could have sworn that I changed the layering. It's probably because this is sorting. Yeah, so it sorts, which means that it's relative Z. Let's see if I can make it not relative Z. So that does help, but no, I guess not. Not particularly cool right there. Alright, let me see if I can get it to sort between those two. Bring it back up and see if now it's above everything, but it's not on these guys. It's actually just above my character, and my character is on layer 0, and ground things are on layer -1. So yeah, I guess these could actually sort above my character in theory. But do I want this to sort on my character or not? Yeah, I don't know. I could definitely change this though. I could change these to be out sorting to layers, layer -1. That'll get them lower. Yeah, I don't know. It is weird. I think for now I'm gonna let it sit at 0 and let it go above my character's head. It's because it's also because it's on his node. I could actually sort it on his node so that it sits above him or below him. Okay. Yeah, I think I'll leave it for now. I don't know if I like it though. It is really gamey. Maybe if I just modulate it way down. There, now it barely exists. Let's go ahead and okay. And let's bring it in a little bit. Keep it away from being too far out there. Yeah, I think if I keep it subtle like that, it'll be good. I must have done something with the hammer because that hammer is not supposed to sit up like that. It's supposed to sit across his back, so I must have changed something. Okay, so we did the aim position stencil. Let's see. Go ahead and look at that model issue, see if there's something that the animation tree doesn't like. Yeah, no, it says still animation right. That looks correct. I wonder why it's not liking it. There must be some reset node that's happening on it. Special toggles, animation state. Huh. I bet you I've reused this somewhere. What kind of weapon does he have in his other hand? Is he using the blade? Pretty sure. Yep, I'm using the glaive. Let's see what it does for its idle state. Maybe it's stealing something. Yep, it's using empty hand model. Has no none though. Well, that's a new thing. Actually go. Grab this guy. Yeah, that one's over the shoulder, as I would expect. And now this one's over the shoulder. Interesting. I bet you there's something weird happening with the load. Because it didn't load the weapon properly. It's like it was trying to load the sword. Or maybe I've got an animation on there already that's over. Got a null point. Let's finish it. Okay. Oh, yeah. Let me see. Oh yeah, Brian, I did fix your menus issue with the large expanded screen. They now lock in place for all of them. I've even got all the menus to, when you hit the back button twice, it'll actually take you out. So every menu now has, ooh, that little sub menu didn't do it. Go back. That thing expands the whole way. I'll have to change that. This one works. In-game works. So everything should be bounded off that way. Yeah. Let me see. So what I wanted to start working on with this little arrow is start implementing the traps. It's a new, I think I would call it an obstruction type. Although the first one I'm building is a floor trap, so it's not going to have physics in the same way as a crate or a door. So let me go ahead and save this guy out. It's probably going to be a prop at the end of the day. Actually, I don't even save this guy because I put this on the weapons sheet. So this is going to be all the weapons we're building out. I've got a short bow put on here. Got the bat fangs. Got a lot of the weapons up here. So I'm going to have to pull some of these off of here and start building them as well. Let's see. Let me grab my sheet. Okay, I have a markup now. Okay, so Godot doesn't really have much of a level editor, so I've built my own level editor for it, where you can paint up chunks with various items, and those items will be translated and load time to actually become the item. So instead of just the tile map, the coordinates. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what that looks like here with the level editor. So all the game worlds are broken into these chunks, and chunks are essentially tile maps that are painted up with various items, and these variants of this is all the static stuff, like this floors will have the shadows layer, it has, you know, rugs, it has anything that I'm going to make the chunk out of in terms of like the static geo sits in these layers. These will not change. If I ever want to change something like on this level, I'll be making a different chunk. And so you can see I've built a bunch of different chunks for various levels for the level generator to pick from, and they're broken into the exit path for each one. So this is the east-south exit. This is east-west. I've got a handful of east-west exits. Then I've got ones that are specifically called gated, and these ones are built in mind that there is a one-way in with a door potential and one-way out with a door potential. No other ways in and out. And so this also has gates potentially in there. And when the level on the level is seeded, it will start using these chunks and basically figure out a path backwards to let the players to complete the map. But anyway, I'm going to go into the markup stuff here. So this static stuff's here. Then there are these variant maps, which are the ways that I can paint them up. I'll show you these paint up wise. I can paint things onto the map just by kind of placing them in the world here, and it'll convert this tile map into an actor. It'll read through the data and figure out that this index on my tile map is equal to a green door, left, right, and then it will create the data at load time. And so whenever I got I've got this big list of different actors that I painted here. Like this is a torch. It'll bring the torch prop along with it, and then it will, you know, create the light source that's required for it. I also do the same thing where I'm placing items in a level, and so you've got like these items are traps that I'm going to be putting in, and then I'll actually spawn the trap at that location. And then the next thing after this trap stuff I'm working on is gates and levers. So I've got this lever item and gates up at the top. But really, all of my items are kind of agnostic in how they get scripted, and that basically breaks down to it basically is determined based on how I set up the scripting map. So with each of these variants, there's also a scripting tile map, and so this tile map has a bunch of tiles that have script events on them. So, for example, this is a monster room, and if you set it up like this room has this tile in the upper left is defining the room's characteristics. It's got 3 kills, monsters will spawn at a rate of 8, and then it sets up some spawners in here. And this room also happens to be the player start, which means looking for these, which is where if you load players, it'll tell you which slot the player's going to land in when they start the match. And then this is what triggers the monster room, the proximity to this upper tile here. So, and then I can do some cool stuff with it, like if I want the triggering of this room to close some doors and then open doors when the room is done. Let me go ahead and do this. I'll close. Just place some close over here. And I'll place some doors. And so now, when I run the room, now I've got these doors over here, and if you can see, the monster room is triggered by proximity in that upper tile, so no matter what I do until I trigger it, it's not going to do anything, and then once I touch it, it'll close those doors, they slam shut. Now these are just regular doors, so I can open them again, who cares, but if I ever wanted special doors that, you know, can't be destroyed, I can obviously put those in here. And so when the room is complete, it's actually going to open these green doors down here, so I need 3 kills in order to complete this room, because that's what the monster room is defined as. I killed these 3 guys, boom, the door's open on the bottom. So that's the gist of it, and I'm going to be hooking up levers and gates the same way, where I'm going to set up an event system between this lever and then have it trigger some arbitrary thing that I wanted to trigger. And so eventually I'm going to have in that scripting tile map, I've got things like proximity invisible, which is this is a proximity trigger, and there's a visible trigger, which means if the door just opens and it becomes, or rather if the tile becomes visible if it wasn't visible before, like if you open a door or break a door down, that's the 2 ways to make it visible, then it can trigger that as well. And then I've got things like use. So if I have this lever here and I tag it with use, using that will either end or begin the monster room, depending on how I want to mark it up. And I've got things like loot and barriers, which will spawn barriers in the location. So the real trouble is when you have to do so many chunks, you have to set up these rooms individually, and then there's going to be variants on each room. So that's really the major lift that'll happen with building out the actual missions. But hopefully when a chunk is done with like 4 variants on each one of these rooms, then that's probably enough variation to, you know, get a couple hundred levels out of it. But it's not particularly fast. So I'm going to do some traps. I need a new trap object. These traps are ground objects. I'm going to go ahead and start with making them in the markup map, so I can have access to them. So I need to add a new item, and I gotta make sure this is the correct index. So it is just before the lever. Let's see. Exit portal is exit portal 63, which means spike trap 61. Okay, I already did that apparently. Spike trap. Okay, I've got a spike trap. Let's go ahead and identify it as a prop. We're going to make sure it's the prop spike trap. And how these things are broken up over the network is instructions or anything that have physics, and props are things that don't have physics. So this will spawn either a projectile or some damaging areas. So it will actually be something people can walk over. And that's mostly just because Godot does not like you adding physics objects at runtime that are reliable. But they're okay with adding overlap events, surprisingly. Let's see. Subtype, we'll call this guy spike trap. So now I need the actual prop subtype. I'll go into here. So typical props are things like all the pickups, the gold piles that are proximity pickups are all props. The weapon pickups that require you walking over them and then holding a button down to interact. So they all have overlap events. But I'm going to need to do something a little funkier because this thing needs to probably fire a projectile that will be stationary at fixed intervals and probably listen for players entering if I want to get fancy with it. So yeah, let's go into my subtype folder and add it away. Not exactly sure how I'm gonna make it spawn a projectile because I've never actually spawned a projectile from a non-creature actor. But I'm sure there's gonna be a way I can do that. Since like all projectile systems custom anyway. Okay, so let's take a look at what the prop subtype is I can bring into it. Alright, so we have prop subtype starts as a collision shape, which is great. I don't want makeup and proximity, don't want a cleanup time. This thing will effectively be there the entire game. I do want the animation player, so that's great. So I'm going to grab it ready. It looks like the subtype ready is going to be fine, but I need to grab, and here it does this. It gets the parent, and it looks like it's grabbing the animation player. So I have the animation player going. I've got my collision shape. I think what I want to do is I want to set my collision shape size. Let's see. Actually, no, I don't even need that because I can do it in the actor itself. These guys. Let's duplicate them. Trap. So set up a collision shape. We don't want a circle. We want a square. Change the sprite board here. I don't think I've actually loaded the trap yet. Oh man, I'm gonna have to go into Photoshop and actually grab those frames. Where do they live? throw them in here? Maybe. Yep, throw them in here. Okay, so it does exist in here. I can just go ahead and grab it from the other atlas. Okay, so in here, pixel snap. Oh, you know, I actually have a different material for this guy, because this is a floor effect. It'll be fine. We don't want... I think it's 16 should be it. And... we got 64... and go down one. Okay. And we're at this sprite. Okay. I have a material that I use for the world, and it has a bunch of special shader types in it that know how to handle the alpha channel differently, so I will grab it. It's called walls. Oh no, it's not. It's what is it called? It is called, yeah, this guy, the props. And I need to add this animation player. Or do I? Do I need an animation player on this thing? Because I don't know if I want him to not line up. Anyway, at least got to set these guys up with the animation. So 4 frames. It'll cycle through the frames when I wanted to pop these spikes up. And if it's just setting frames, let's go ahead and add the animation player. Throw it here. And animation. I'm gonna make a new. And I need to create, I want to create a reset animation here. There's a button on here for creating reset. It's somewhere on here. I don't know, man. I could have sworn there was something on here. All my other stuff has reset animations. I don't know why this one doesn't like it. Reset on save. Save? I don't really want to make a unique animation for it, though. Okay. Let's do real fast. It'll do less than a half second. We'll set the sprite frame. Oh, it there to create a reset track. Must have only does it when you change something then. Cool. So boom, spikes. That's probably too slow. Let's see, now we've got the animation player set, we've got the sprite set, we've got our collision. Rectangle shape is gonna need to be 8 by 8. Our sprite is a little off. Okay. Actually, this whole thing is offset upward. Not a great look. Okay, now we'll go exactly where you want it to go. Okay, so that guy It's fine. I think the other ones register overlaps and have their own events set for it. So yeah, you see all these overlap entered that are extended virtual voids here. So what I want to do is extend these guys over here. Okay. Okay, now I want to... Let's see, I've got these overlap enters. I believe these are just set for the server, and then these ones are the responses for the client. And that's if the client gets close enough, these ones are the authority, basically says, all right, have you overlapped? Then it sends the event to the client. So if the client goes into a place where he can pick something up with pressing a button, it basically listens for this event. And this is the pickup event, although we're not going to be needing that at all. Okay, so we got creature in, creature out. We want the thing to fire at specific intervals to start with. Well, so the first thing we'll do, we'll just have this thing run at a fixed rate and fire those projectiles out to damage people standing on top of it. And I think we had... This thing isn't tracking players inside at all. In fact, I don't even need overlap, enter, or exit. I can just use the projectile and have it fire. So let me just make a real quick timer and just fire it on time. So the question is, does this thing need to exist only on the master client? Let's see. Yeah, let's go grab a timer from somewhere. He's got a timer on. Call it fire timer, in case I end up using this guy more than one location. Okay, I'll just fire it every second. You only want this thing to run if I'm online. If I'm not online, manager. Actually, I can do it this way. If match manager, current match has local authority. If not, it doesn't care about the timer at all on the remote clients. So, when the timer elapses, the thing is going to fire projectiles. So I actually have the ability to make a projectile fire with the projectile manager. Let's just create projectile fire event. That's where we create the event. It's going to be eventually sent off to the server, but it's going to have a million parameters because I know this thing is pretty complicated. Take a look at all the parameters this thing requires. Alright, so I've got two versions of this. A strike event, which isn't going to work for us because this thing doesn't, I don't really want to make a strike event. Okay, I've got to make a projectile name. We'll just call this guy... Let's use the Cursed Crown one because that's a projectile that will persist. The owner of this thing will be its GUID because all net actors have a GUID. this doesn't need target goods, so don't need it. Spawn position is global position. Target position is global position. And damage 30. 0. Offset 0. Invert angle false. Okay. That's our projectile event. Why does this guy not? Parameter owner GUID is not valid for some reason. Why is that? Pretty sure I have an owner at this point. Let's take a look at what the props have. Got a prop. So I could just grab that should work. Okay, so this is my projectile fire event. PFP is this guy. Okay. Chunky event. And then I'm gonna do the same logic that I do with characters firing projectile, which is gonna be on this guy. Let's find out how I do it here. So send spawn projectile. And that is just this real quick function that's creating one event. And I want to do this guy. Okay. Make sure that I'm me, that I'm online, then I can send it across the network. Only send it if you're this is server 2. And this is my projectile fire event. Projectile fire event. Okay, that exists now. I should take a look at getting this thing to load. Okay, so it needs to read that markup and then populate the prop in world. So I have, go back to the markup map. Prop that will populate. Now I have all these props in the world. I didn't set it as a prop type. Okay. Now I need to load this by its name. Let's see how the prop loads. Prop will load based on some prop data up here. So it goes through an activation before it gets, when it activates, it starts running this load, which throws it off to my loader thread, which when it returns, get prop resource path, that's what I need. Here is my path for all props I load. It looks like all my stuff up until this point is sharing a lot of the same resource. So this is the new one. Okay, that looks like a thing. I just gotta make sure this thing is actually getting into the game from the level editor. Okay, so I'm gonna close this crap down. Okay, so we've got spike traps out here. I'll go ahead and delete this stuff here. Get a lot of this junk out of the way. We'll just put one spike trap down to start with. And I want to clear out as many of these things as I can because I don't want more obstructions and props in my way just in case I end up running into bugs. Okay, so we got one spike trap. Just throw it right here. Just making sure we can actually get a valid projectile coming out of it. Okay, it does spawn the actor. But it spawned it in such a way that I picked it up. That was weird. Oh, it's because I have the wrong class on top of it. Yeah, it's doing proximity pickup. Let's load it as a spike trap. I'm not seeing a projectile. But it did load in. Let's take a look with this on. I'm guessing that the packet receiver, I'm guessing something in here requires me to have a valid character. That is my guess. Current matches local authority, make a new fire timer, connect the timer. Oh, it doesn't auto start. I want to auto start it. That's also a problem. Nope, not damaging. That's gonna be interesting too, because I don't think I don't pass team data along with my projectiles. I just reference the GUID being sent. One shot false. Auto starts true. Fire timer elapsed. Yeah, let's take a look at running. Oh, here, we got a bunch of bugs in here. Oh, darn it. My console log actually was giving me a bunch of information. Okay, it says no free projectile for 6001, no free projectile. So it's trying to fire a null projectile. That's interesting. I'm guessing it's because the projectile owner is based on the GUID for the actor. And I'm guessing it doesn't know that this thing, it probably thinks it has to be a monster. Yeah, it thinks it has to be a monster for sure. No free projectile. Why is it sending 2 of it? I've only got 1 of these guys in here. I don't know. It's like it loaded it twice somewhere. Oh, because I have 2 chunks. That's why. This is another problem I've got with my level setup. Is if I want to extend this, sometimes I want to have more space in the test level. I just duplicate the chunk twice, and it goes. Let's see. Where is my level? My quick and dirty levels. I'll just comment out the second one and my chunk count to 3. Okay, so it is in the projectile manner where it's calling this error. And it's gonna go no free projectile. Okay, so I have a fire event, so I'm gonna get the, okay, so yeah, here it is. Get projectile by creature GUID, and I bet you that's not, because this is not a creature being passed in, it's being passed to prop GUID. Go to definition, so it's actually cycling through all the creatures and determining if it's a monster or a hero. But I don't want it to necessarily be just a creature. I have a different way of doing this now, where I turn it into an actor type. Let's see. I can do it this way. Manager. Get actor type. get the actor, that's for sure, which will return the interface of net actor. And I bet the actor has an actor type. Perfect, okay. I think this should have enough stuff to cover creatures, monsters, heroes. Yep, okay, I can just use this then. Very glad I built that. Pull the same thing from the monster projectile. So the monster doesn't reference anything in the monsters. So we'll just grab that pool. Cool. All right. Business. Alright, now hopefully I'm going to rename this. It's no longer creature good by actor. I'm definitely in a place where the project is getting real close to having a lot of features to put a lot of content in. And so definitely able to move a lot faster on new stuff. Okay, and now we've got that. Let's make sure that works now. Nope. Didn't like it. Didn't like it one bit. Let's see where it didn't like it. So right here, like I was saying, that there is no team component on the instigator because the instigator here is not a creature. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I bet I can get not a creature. Let's just do it this way. Let's just make it the same. Do the same layout. The same layout as the other one. And then the trouble is the team ID. Because I'm guessing the team ID. So I think monsters have a team ID of 2 and players have 1, and there's a neutral of 0. So maybe here in a monster we'll have the normal way of getting the team ID. So the instigator is always a creature though, and I don't want it to always be a creature. I want it to be a net actor. Yeah, it's gonna change it. It's gonna be more complicated, I bet. Okay, so let's change instigator to a net actor. Let's see what happens. It's gonna be a bit of a thing to unravel. Alright, so the instigator actor type. Although I'll still need the instigator later, so I'm fairly sure that that'll have to stay the same. So with these two, we get the team ID. If not, the team ID is going to be 0. And then I'll not worry about the prop thing for now. Instigator, so the thing is I need to go, that's a reference to it as a creature. I'm just going to do it like this. really need to check to see if it has a team component on it, but most, I think, creatures always have team components. Okay. Because eventually we're going to have characters that summon, we're going to have characters that are AI controlled, so we can't just check for players. Alright, so is this instance valid? We don't need this guy, but we have a good, a really easy access to his actor node. And now that I know the actor node is real, I can get the global position of that actor node. That's perfect. Okay, so that worked out fine. Let's see where else it'll fail. Instance valid. Okay, so... Okay, I just make sure these are all actor nodes. Yeah, it looks like I just use actor nodes for these things. Actor node is a node 2D, so it has global position and rotation on it, so that's already pretty handy. The fact that the aim rotation is going to be a little more tricky, so I have to actually do something clear. Because not every actor has aim rotation. That, and circle attach feet, which is fine on the actor node. Man, that is a pain. Okay. Probably do want a trap to be able to use the attach node socket system for whatever it does. Attacks. I don't think it'll ever have a weapon component though. Okay. Another actor node. So this is the hitbox component, which exists on a couple of things, but definitely exists on creatures. So actor direction. This is to get the sweep in the front arc of your character. I'm not even sure I use that anymore. Actually, think about it. What do I use that for? Oh, it's because you can't... let's just see what I'll use it for, actually. Go find all references here. Yeah, this isn't actually used. This function is deprecated because I used to do sweeps with the dot product, or with dot product, and I don't do that anymore. I actually just use the physical movement of the sword or whatever. Check to see if he's got a hitbox. Yeah. I was going to exclude the instigator. Let's see how horrible that thunder class is. I think that's pretty self-contained though with the projectile. I don't think there's a whole lot going on there. There we go. Okay, we have a trap now. It's gonna keep pushing me back because I set its push value to really, really high. Okay, so now I just need to make the trap one, play its animation to fixed rate, because right now it's not playing any animations. It's also kind of floaty because it's on the wrong layer. Let me move it back down to the lower layer. Let's see. Move it back to 4. And then I want to play its animation at that fixed rate, and then we'll spawn that effect. So wait time, and then on this timer elapsed, fire projectile. So we're gonna fire the projectile, and should we send the animation over? The way that it works now with a creature that makes an attack, his projectile is different from when his animation is sent over. And that's because we don't want the animation to be the thing that spawns a projectile. The projectile should just live on its own, and then whatever we use to pair the two is played in the animation. So we don't want to do that. We want this fire event to be firing at the fixed rate, and we want to send a new event type over. Or do we want to send a state replication? You know, actually, I guess depending on how we want to do this, if it's going to be a fixed rate, then I can have this thing listen to the game clock's timestamp and just fire on that interval. And that way the client gets it no matter what. But if I want it to fire when you're standing in it, as opposed to just firing constantly, then I think I'll start with that one. That one sounds more reasonable to me, where you have to register for a player standing in it, have some sort of delay. I don't know if you've seen on all my other creatures, they have, before they make attacks, let me find this, I'll just go open one up. Before any of my creatures make attacks, they all have a little bit of a white flash, which will alert the player that something bad's going to happen. Actually, the only one who doesn't have it, I think, is the necromancer guy. Let me open up one that does, like the bats. And I think I missed a couple, so there are actually probably a couple in here that don't have that flash. Yeah, so this guy will flash white, and those big fangs kind of hide it, but I'm gonna go find a skeleton. Skeletons have a great one. They're one of the first creatures I built, though, so they're a little janky. And I've been timing the little white flashes, and I think it's about 200 to 300 milliseconds before the attack goes off is about the right amount of time to allow you to dodge. These guys have a great one. Big old white flash and this long swing. Although the swing just looks so slow now, considering how I've adjusted the timing on all the other ones. Oh, did these guys not have a little flash for their stab? Well, the imps don't, man. I gotta change that. The imps had this little thing where their knife kind of wiggles, but I'm gonna have to add the flash to them. Yeah, so I want to do something like that as an indicator that trap's about to go off. But do I want to do the same exact thing? It'd be consistent. I'll probably just do the same thing. Let me see if I can do something like that on the sprite. Oh, let's see. Shader. Okay. I might not be able to do an additive thing on the shader. The more I look at it, I've got... Let me use the creature shader on this thing. Use that guy. I'm gonna have to change the problem is that I have the sprite set up in a way that the alpha's high. Well, there's no fixing it. I've really just got to go in and grab it off the sheet and move it to the prop sheet. Good enough. Okay, now I'm back to the regular color range. And now I can use the creature shader for my white flash. So this guy's just got a couple of... Where's my parameters in this thing? This guy. So yeah, I've got this warning hit flash. Why is it blown out though? That's the color swap one. Oh, this one also does have the alpha progress and white progress. Okay, this is the right one then. I'll just grab this guy. So we'll flash the color, and then we'll make this thing animate, and then fire the projectile. Okay, so I need to be able to send the. I'll need to send the overlap event, because that's what we're going to use to trigger it. On overlap entered, and then on the handled overlap entered. So here it's going to start the timer, and then here it's going to handle it. This will tell me what creature has entered the overlap. I don't really care what creature it is, but I want to make sure that it's, when it enters, it's definitely a hero. Okay, and then I want to do... stopped since I'm running, don't fire it again. And then the handle overlap is going to do the same thing. It's going to tell what that happens when it overlaps the player. It's going to play the same. This timer doesn't exist, so it's going to do the white flash. I'm going to make a new timer, which is going to modulate that flash. On both. Both need a copy. And it's going to run a process. Actually, I don't think I need to register for that. So let's see. The creature visuals component has the structure for this. Let's actually side by side. I hate working on this one. On warning flash event. Warning flash timer start. That's essentially what I want. I want this guy to start. Warning flash for this overlap entered. I don't think this timer connects to anything upgraded. Yeah, warning flash timer start. Okay. I actually like the name that better than use that. So I do need to reference the material. there wasn't more than just that. I'm gonna grab its sprite material up here. I bet the basic prop has the sprite reference. Yep, here we go. Material, and then update warning flash. This is going to happen on tick. I don't need this stuff because I only got the one. And it'll have a process somewhere in here that's going to be checking for the warning flash update. Yep, here we go. And I want to make sure that I have a valid prop owner. So I'm not running this thing without it. Let me see, the warning flash timer stopped is the last one I need. Which there was a one that just resets all the elements, the parameters on the thing. Oh, here we go. Okay, so now I have a warning flash that will start when I overlap the event if I'm a hero. And for now, I'm going to go ahead and stop firing the projectile because I don't need to do that. Just want to check the visuals. I wonder. Overlap entered. Here's my prop subtype. I wonder if I've got to actually implement the event for overlap. Let's take a look at my proximity pickup. Pickup events. No, I mean overlap entered. It's got the event there, so yeah, it's fine. Let's see. I've got this guy. It's disabled. Why is it disabled? Let me just check. Okay, we got the overlap event. It doesn't get the handle event. I wonder if that's because the... Because the overlap event doesn't send anything. I don't know why it's not Because proximity pickup had something to send, right? Let's see. Send the pickup event. What I need to send is like an overlap event. Let's see. So all the utility pickups have an overlap event that they send. Item pickup. This guy. Maybe the handle event only occurs on the remote clients. Let me just real quickly check. If that's the case, I'll just have to run it in 2 locations. Okay, so the one on overlap entered, this guy, yeah, it's not getting the handle event from either one of them. Actually, let me close this guy down and connect with the console for him. Okay, so now he has once all this connection junk goes through. I'm not seeing a handle event though. I gotta stop that print for latency. Let's see, is there a handle event in here? No, I don't see one. Okay, maybe that's not getting called anywhere. Well, I think that's good for the evening. I'm gonna dig a little bit more into this, and we'll come back next week. Hopefully, I'll have a bunch of traps and new scripted events for you. All right, guys, take it easy.